Yes, sir.
Speaking with Officer Klein again.
Yeah.
So listen, Jacob, I talked to Kendra. Your kids are okay. She confirmed that she has seen them very recently. So listen, what I need you to do is I need you to stop calling in and making these fake police reports,
okay, look, check it out, sir. Then if
sir.
I need
you to listen to me, Jacob.
Okay.
You need to stop calling and making these false reports. If you have a civil issue, you can take it to the court. But if you keep making these false police reports, I'm going to charge you with a crime, okay?
Can you hear me out for 1 second?
No, Jacob.
No, you.
Listening to me?
I mean, I'm listening to you, sir. The fact that she's not answering the phone for my son, you're going to charge me for a crime because I haven't seen my kids?
Thanks for choosing Amazon. This call is
That's what was going on from October 17th or 18th. We had a court date, and Judge Summer Ryan granted her Kendra Snyder temporary custody orders of my 2 youngest kids. This order right here, this is from March of 2021. Okay, this court order right here from March 2021, and it's from Judge Jody Burgess, and I'll show you in a minute the date and the time. It says right here, court is in session. It says the court inquires parties of the status of court-ordered therapy. Mr. Snyder advises he had scheduled the children with their primary care physician and obtained referrals to counseling. Mr. Snyder informs the court that his oldest son, okay, is currently in treatment with a child psychiatrist, and he's expects the other children to begin treatment soon. Okay, and it says Miss Snyder right here at the bottom. It says Miss Snyder states she still has not seen her son and set up family counseling as directed by the court. And she states Mr. Snyder does not want to attend. I never had a problem with attending us together in therapy. I had a problem with attending therapy at Family Dynamics Therapy because all 3 kids did not want to go back to Family Dynamics Therapy. They were crying and telling me they did not want to go back there. They did not want to go back to the place that was associated with One Safe Place. It says did not set up family counseling as directed by the court, but states Mr. Snyder does not want to attend. Mr. Snyder states she set up counseling with Bruce Gregory. Okay, Bruce Gregory was the one that hurt my oldest son. So, and of course, I didn't want to go back there. It says right here, Miss Ayers responds and advises the court that Mr. Snyder believes that Bruce Gregory is affiliated with One Safe Place. Right there. Okay, he's not affiliated. One Safe Place is associated with Family Dynamics Therapy, and Bruce Gregory works for Family Dynamics Therapy. And Family Dynamics Therapy is the place that was providing therapy to my kids when they were abducted and brought up here from Sacramento County. And all 3 kids were telling One Safe Place and Family Dynamics Therapy that they wanted to go home, and that I was never abusive to them, and they never that I never hurt Kendra. Okay, and they were telling these people that, and they didn't want to hear it. That's what my oldest son said. He said he kept telling them over and over that he just wanted to go home and that his dad was a good dad, never hurt him. And they kept pushing it because Judge Gibson granted her a restraining order against me. This is all over the very beginning, the restraining order that was filed against me and the lies that were said about me. It says right here, the court states the family reunification therapy with a new provider is necessary. Okay, a new provider means somebody other than Family Dynamics Therapy, somebody other than Bruce Gregory, somebody other than One Safe Place. And says Miss Ayers, says Miss Snyder states no times listed on the proposed custody orders, and states she will not sign it without the times being listed. Okay, Miss Ayers addresses Miss Snyder's concerns and says these issues and states she has the order ready. It just needs to the times written in. Miss Ayers states Mr. Snyder wants the children exchanged prior to Mr. Snyder's going to work, and discussion ensues. The discussion was basically that Kendra kept dropping our kids off at her mom's when she was spending time with Jason, and so I just said that basically they should be with me if they're not with her. That was the end of the discussion. Like, why aren't the kids just with me and not at daycare and not a babysitter and not with Jason? They should be with their dad or their mom. That's fair, right? That's equal. But Kendra kept dropping them off at her mom's house or dropping them off with Jason, and the kids were getting hurt. It says Miss Ayers submits the proposed visitation order for the court review. Okay, and the court orders the times to remain as previously ordered. Mr. Lord, Miss Snyder's fiance, is advised that he is not to make any disparaging remarks about Mr. Snyder. And the court also confirms that the 1 p.m. Saturday exchange remains, and Miss Ayers enters the appropriate time into the order. Okay, and it says the court order, and Mr. Snyder signed the order, right? Now, the reason why I make these videos and I'm making them on my phone and they're shoddy, right, is because I've sent this information to the district attorney's office and I've sent this information to the court, and they basically don't want to talk about the past orders. They want to talk about the current court order. Well, the current court order has basically abused my kids. You know, it's not legal documentation anyways. But not only that, the fact is that the kids are running away from her house and terrified and scared because they don't want to be abused over at her house. And Judge Gibson made that decision to basically grant her court orders, and my kids get abused. It says the father informs the court the children and family law services or family services has opened up a case, and the social worker has interviewed the minor children. Attorney Ayers confirms CVS is investigating the incident, but does not anticipate the agency to take any action as the incident was an accident. The court directs the parties to follow any safety plan CVS puts in place. Discussion is held regarding a visitation schedule. There was no safety plan because CVS investigated that case and they ruled it out. It was an accident. There was unfounded neglect at my house. So if all these things are happening, if Family Law Services is investigating, okay, and they find it unfounded, all right, and the incident in my house, an accident, right, and this is a court order from the court in March, and then 4 or 5 months later, because my kids are getting abused at her house, Judge Gibson grants her court orders. And that's what he's been doing every time in this case, over and over and over again. That's abuse. That's abuse of power, but it's also abuse to my children. And I got arrested in March of 2022 because I filed a complaint against this judge. It says, after discussion, the parties agree for the mother to have the children every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and alternating Tuesdays. The mother agrees for the oldest child, Jace, to live with the father full-time, and for child to attend visitations with mother when he feels comfortable to do so. The mother further states she agrees to the conduct visitation with Jace outside the presence of Mr. Lord. The moment that Judge Gibson got involved in this case, and he basically granted her the visitation with my son on Fridays, is when everything fell apart. Because my son went over there and basically started getting abused over there, again, had a gun pointed at his head, And Judge Gibson granted her those orders. And that's why this case is so important, is because this judge is well aware of what is happening at her house. He knows these things, okay? It's not an error of law or a judicial decision. He's making a decision that's putting people in jeopardy, like putting my family in jeopardy, putting my kids in jeopardy. And he's convinced this community that it's a legal decision or that it's a judicial decision, and it's not. You know, my kids are running away from her house because they don't want to live there. They don't want to be there and be abused. And I don't want to get arrested every damn time that I stand up against him. It's outrageous. And not only that, but these court orders are from March, man. Like we have been talking and arguing about this case for the past 6 years, over and over and over again. And this judge is well aware of what's going on over at her house. These are the court orders, okay? These are court orders that were done in March. I'll show you. Look at this, okay? Manzanita's secretary, and it shows the case file. Photos. Manzanita's secretary photos. Okay? These court orders were sent to Manzanita Elementary School. Okay? And they had these copies of these, and so they knew what was going on, that Jason wasn't supposed to be around the kids. All right? And then Judge Gibson interferes with the case file and interferes with those decisions, right? And then grants her my custody of my 2 youngest kids, and everything fell apart. This is in March right here with Judge Jody Burgess. You know, and then it says right here that Kendra's here and she doesn't have an attorney. Okay, and then I'm there, and I have an attorney. Okay, this is in March of 2021. The court orders and the court paperwork that's in the case file right now, like this, I highly doubt that this is even there. But not only that, but there's dates and times that I had an attorney present and with me in court that they're not added. How do I put the new paperwork that's in the case file? Okay, it shows on these same dates that I don't have an attorney, but I had an attorney. The new desolation of marriage paperwork that's in there, that case file, I never seen before. Okay, and that during that time I had an attorney, so my attorney would have filed it. So it doesn't make sense that, you know, that and then not only that, but she doesn't have Shelley Morgan yet as an attorney. But it shows on that new paperwork, right? Whenever I filed desolation of marriage, it shows Shelley Morgan right here in the appearances. So that means somebody is changing the court orders and court proceedings, and they're adding stuff to these court minutes that never happened. That's illegal. Kendra didn't get an attorney until I want to say August or July. Okay, and what I've been doing, dude, is I've been telling the district attorney's office that I have this information, and telling, obviously Shasta County Superior Court knows that, but I've also been telling law enforcement, and they're arguing with me over a current court order. But that's not the case in this family law case. All the other orders from before that, from the beginning, those are what matter, especially in this case. And the reason why Judge Gibson and Commissioner Strongberg, they don't want to look at the case files from before, because of this incident right here. The fact that Jason was not supposed to be around the kids. He wasn't supposed to be around my kids at all. And Judge Gibson ordered, gave her a court order to be around the kids, and then basically my kids started getting abused again. I'm having a hard time sending these pictures on my computer. I'm having a hard time downloading this information to my phone or to my Facebook, or even sending it via email. It's getting difficult for me because it's basically blocked on my computer. So this is I know it's hard to see, but this is a bruise that's on Jackson's underarm, like his armpit. Okay, and if you notice right here, like this, at the outline of his armpit right there, that's his shirt right there, and this is the outside of his arm right here. Okay, and when you look at the picture, that's a bruise. It's a huge bruise in his armpit. That was in March and April. He was getting hurt over there. Okay, in fact, if I have pictures of abuse over there, and I have phone calls of abuse over there, and I have text messages back and forth of abuse over there, right? And then the judge Gibson, who's making these decisions, he keeps telling everybody, "Oh, it's a custody issue. It's a custody issue. It's a civil issue. You need to go back to court." Right? And so law enforcement and social services, they won't investigate child abuse at her house, at my ex's house. They won't even investigate it. And basically see, this is what happens. Like, look at this right here, okay? There we go. Now it popped back up. I was going to say, like, they're terrified of this information getting out. All these judges that made these decisions, they don't want everybody to the state of California to find out what happened. And like this right here, this is things that are going on in our family law case, and all these court orders have been changed by Judge Gibson and altered since I went to jail. Like just in the past couple of years, they've been changed again. So I highly doubt that you might not even see this court order in there. That's illegal. And that's why everybody's upset about this case. The fact that this file's from Manzanita's secretary, this is from Manzanita's school. So that means they're aware of what was going on and that Jason was not to be left alone around my kids. And then in October, because Judge Gibson wants to argue with everybody and argue with me and argue with Kendra, Jason ends up around my kids and abusing my kids. I mean, like it's not a misconduct issue. It's a abuse issue. It's more than that for me, but we can just stay with abuse if you want. It says after discussion, the parties agree. The parties agree to exchanges on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Now listen, okay. In the case file right now, the justification for these decisions, right, for Judge Gibson to make this decision to take my kids from me in October and then take my oldest son in February, is because I was dropping my kids off late for school, and they were missing days of school. Now listen, okay, listen to this court order: Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and alternating Tuesdays. So I basically had them Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Mondays. And then I would pick them up from school on Mondays, and I would take them and drop them back off on Tuesdays every other week. That's the schedule for school. So why am I getting in trouble, or why did I get my kids taken away for them missing school days when that's not even our schedule? Like, that's how important it is to look at the case files from my house, or because these may not be there. These may not be in the case file. And not only that, but then you can start talking about the forgery and everything else. It says the court would like to conduct, now listen to this. Now, the court would like to conduct an evidentiary hearing to address the allegations made against the mother's fiance, Jason Lord. The court believes the children attending counseling will address this issue. The court inquires of parties if there are any objections to the children attending family counseling with Mr. Lord. Both parties and counsel state no objections. Mr. Lord submits to the court's jurisdiction. Now listen, and it was my understanding from my attorney that I had to agree with that because the court wanted Jason Lord to be under the court's jurisdiction. That means that if they found out that Jason was being abusive to my kids, then he would be arrested back in March of 2021. because he already had a restraining order against him. And Judge Gibson found out what was going on, and he railroaded this case because he doesn't want my kids to talk to anybody else about what happened to them up in Shasta County. That's exactly what the problem is. He doesn't want that to happen because my kids were getting abused here. And that's his responsibility. And not only that, but that's exactly what this judge continues to do in family law. He should be removed from family law. He should be disbarred. He should be impeached. At the least, get him the hell out of family law. Because these are the decisions that he's making. Now listen, okay? This is supposed to be in the best interest of my children. Always. And this judge is so horrible to people that he took my 2 kids away in October and then took my oldest son away in March. 1 year after this court order. And it says right here, both parties to Mr. Lord not make any disparaging remarks about the party in front of the minor children. Attorney Ayers confirms she will work with the parties on secure counseling, okay, for the children with an intent of family counseling as well. Okay, I never had a problem sitting with him in counseling. I didn't care. Okay, I cared about my kids, and I wanted individual therapy for my kids so that they could talk about what happened to them in Shasta County. And I did not want Kendra to be involved or Jason to be involved in those decisions because I wanted my kids to be able to talk about the abuse that was going on over there. And it took this judge about, I don't know, about 8 months or 6 months to go through all the records, change all these things, and take the information out of the. And now it's not. None of this is in the case file. I have copies of the case file, so I know that none of this is in there. It says the court inquires of parties if they. Objection to the court